Tells top story this hour. The first man arrested in the Salt Lake City funeral shooting is set to appear in court today. Ryan Daniel Totai is accused of interfering with the investigation, getting in the way of first responders securing the scene and providing life-saving measures, as well as purposefully giving conflicting statements to investigators. It comes after just yesterday we told you about a second man arrested for obstruction of justice in the same investigation. The suspected shooter or shooters are still at large. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. ICE protests are still underway in Minneapolis, despite the freezing temperatures there. It comes after a 5-year-old was detained with his father and sent to a facility in Texas. More from ABC's Matt Rivers.
During a visit here in Minneapolis Thursday, Vice President J.D. Vance saying the agents were protecting the child.
Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
The family's attorney insisting father and son entered the United States legally.
Liam and his dad did enter the United States at a port of entry to seek asylum. They've shared all of their information with the government, and they were following the process.
Vice President Vance says the father ran away and left him. The child's school claims there were adults in the house who were offering to take him inside, but ICE agents refused. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 221. Right now we're at 49,165. Coming up, another hazy day of sunshine, but then a cold front moves in. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they gonna know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to Jason Jones.
And Amanda, we still have this problem. It is westbound on the south belt approaching the south interchange with the cars facing the wrong direction right under that railroad overpass there. And you got the 2 left lanes blocked off. The delays are back past State Street at this point. So leave yourself extra time to get through there. We also have reports of an accident southbound I-15 3300 south. It's off to the right shoulder, not really affecting traffic. In fact, there's nothing else affecting traffic anywhere. The rest of your commute is looking pretty good at this point. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, endless possibilities with 3 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, and Performance Toyota, where excellence is standard. Start your search at performancebountiful.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly cloudy today with a high of 41 degrees. A cold front comes in tonight and clears out our air, but it will be colder tomorrow, 35 for a high. Right now it's 28 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we were able to hear from our governor last night in the State of the State address. It wasn't maybe nothing too surprising about what he had to say, but he did address a lot of things, including literacy, Utah housing affordability, and of course his topic that he's maybe known for as much as anything, which is sort of trying to get along and trying to move forward with what's going on with our country right now.
He didn't use the words disagree better, but he talked about needing to return to virtue and moral infrastructure, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
He also spoke about the Declaration of Independence as we lead into the 250th anniversary of that signing.
On July 4th, 1776, the United States declared its independence from the British Empire with perhaps the greatest, most consequential, and most radical sentence ever written. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Conventional thinking today defines the pursuit of happiness as something like the pursuit of pleasure or materialism. But that's not what the founders meant. They were drawing on an older tradition shaped by the Stoics and Enlightenment thinkers that saw happiness not as something consumed, but something practiced. See, to the founders, the pursuit of happiness had everything to do with character. It was the result of self-mastery, moral formation, and a life oriented towards purpose and public service. Happiness wasn't feeling good, it was being good.
And at the outset, the Declaration says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That does not distinguish between, and I think it's important to note, whether or not you're here in the country legally or not. And we talk so much about, well, what rights do people have here that are here illegally? The Declaration of Independence seems to indicate that all men are created equal, period.
And I think the founding of our country made clear that we believe that those rights come not from government but from God.
Right.
So I really liked how he used that quote to say, look, the founders, it wasn't, happiness wasn't just something that you pursued. It was like it's something that you could become or reach for in a different way. He quoted Calvin Coolidge quite a bit, actually. And so he talked about Calvin Coolidge when he was a senator, but also then when he was president of the United States. And he talked about having fewer bills, actually.
Don't hurry to legislate, he said. Give administration a chance to catch up with legislation. Now, you've heard me raise concerns about the number of bills passed each session. A massive increase over the past two had to do with the legislature's relationship to the executive branch. Don't hurry to legislate, he said. Give administration a chance to catch up with legislation. Now, you've heard me raise concerns about the number of bills passed each session, a massive increase over the past 2 decades, and we are still working hard to implement the 582 bills passed last session. I so appreciate Representative Stephen White, who had several bills he was planning to run this year. However, after calls to different cabinet members, he was able to find solutions and drop all of those bills. And Godspeed to Representative Okerlund with his very popular bill to limit bills. We love small government.
And what was the other quote that we heard, that this could have been an email?
Yeah,
you know, one of the bills. We could have done this with an email.
So we talked with him on the Hill, you and I, on opening day of the session, and he mentioned but didn't say who the legislator was that had 4 bills that he ended up dropping. It turns out it was Representative Stephen White, another legislator I've known for a long time. But I thought it was I thought it was funny and also a little bit sad that everybody laughed when he talked about Representative Okerlund's bill to reduce the number of bills being introduced. Remember?
Right.
You know, so he talked to us in the fall when he was saying, hey, I'm going to run this bill. We're like, good luck with that.
Right. But even I think he's indicated 500 given the 45-day session.
It was 582, so almost 600 last year. Passed.
Right. That's just too many.
Yeah.
And when we were there last year for the closing day, it was chaos.
Yeah.
They were passing bills. It
so
seemed like
fast.
a lot of people were considering things and listening to things that they probably didn't have the fair chance to vet, and having to vote on them in the last few hours was a little bit odd to watch.
Yeah, it was. Again, I listened to the State of the State last night. I listened again this morning, and I don't know that there were any real surprises. I think Governor Cox is a good storyteller, but he did ask this question: what do we do when the world feels like it's moving too fast? And he talked about that.
Honestly, we see it in both major political parties and those who represent us at the national level, making a mockery of Franklin's virtues, rewarding grift, rejecting decency, and wantonly tearing down the very institutions that made us the envy of every nation. We see it in a culture that rewards outrage, where attention is captured not by what is true or good, but by what is loud or divisive. We see it in an economy that increasingly profits not from helping people build lives of meaning, but from keeping them scrolling, gambling, borrowing, and consuming at the expense of their health, their families, and their future. The result is this troubling paradox. We've never had more, and yet too many Americans wonder why we're doing any of this in the first place.
And I think this was the part of the speech that a lot of us were waiting for and wanting to hear, which is and I know it wasn't the necessarily get along better part, but it is right.
Though,
it really is.
Yeah.
And that's something that he's really become almost a national figure in right now, that people are looking to him and say, Governor Cox, tell us what's going on right now and what we can do. And he's trying to broker peace right now. He's struggling with certain parties, even his own party, and the Democrats, and trying to get that done. But I think his message is great, and I'm glad that he said that last night.
Well, and when he talks about we live in a culture that rewards outrage, I mean, I think you see that, right? And it's loud, and the loud voices seem to get amplified more than voices who are calling for reasonable discussions. And I'm hopeful that we'll see that on the Hill this year. We're on day 4, by the way, so we're like 10% done by the time today's done. But I hope we'll see less of that loud and divisive outrage.
What did you make of the response that he was getting from the chamber while he was speaking? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I
did
think
you feel like he was being well received?
Yeah, and at the end of the speech, he got a standing ovation, at least what I could see. I wasn't there in person, so I watched it online. But he got a standing ovation. There were several applause lines, of course, and some laugh lines where they were laughing with him. He called out, in a good way, several legislators who were saying, look, he talked about his literacy stuff and mentioned Senator Ann Milner and Representative Karen Peterson, who are really working on that initiative, and talked about some other things that were important and legislators who were working on it. And then you heard him call out Representative White for saying thank you for dropping your bills that didn't need to be a bill.
Right. You know, you've been on the Hill. What involvement does the governor have now in terms of what's happening up there? Will he be on the Hill regularly? Will he be responding to things regularly?
He works there every day, so yes, he'll be on the Hill. But there's always conversations, I think, between the branches. They did go in front of the Appropriations Committee the very first day that they had committee and just say, look, here's the governor's budget that we're proposing, just so that you know that the legislature holds the purse strings. So he will be involved. His people will be involved. There are lots of cabinet members that will be testifying, both for bills and a lot of times, like they'll say, we're here to testify or to give you information. Sometimes it's not for or against. It's just to say, here's the information that we have, for example. So he'll be involved.
And Utah has a supermajority of Republicans, so they're veto proof.
Yeah.
But he still seems to carry a lot of weight up there, and a lot of and his opinions and his input seems to be very well received by the legislature.
I think there's an effort to work together between the legislature and the executive branch, but if you ask both the governor and legislative leaders, they'll say there's tension. They call it a healthy tension, but there is tension between those branches. Yeah. Look, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Democratic response to the state of the state. They're calling for action and not just rhetoric. We'll listen to that when we come back.
I have some good news for you today. Pay attention, pull over, whatever. American Home Loans has lowered their mortgage rates to only 5.5% on 30-year loans and 4 3/4 for 15 years. Yes, 5.5% fixed. But wait, what if rates go down again? No problem. Once you're a customer with American Home Loans, you don't have to worry about paying closing costs every time you refinance. That's right. Every time rates drop by 0.25% or more, they'll refinance you at no cost to you. Zero, zilch, nada. For details, call 801-262-2221. 262-2221. So now you can purchase a home or refinance at only 5.5% on 30 years and 4 3/4 on 15 years. And then if rates drop later, you can refinance at no cost to you. Call American Home Loans at 801-262-2221, 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, APR 5.8 30-year and 5% 15-year. Terms and conditions apply.
For years I've said this, when it comes to the person you love, there are 3 dates you never, ever want to forget or overlook. 1, birthday. 2, anniversary. 3, it's Valentine's Day. And the perfect place to celebrate Valentine's Day with the one you love, it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. First of all, of course, the best food you have ever had. But the ambiance, the wait service is absolutely incredible. And we have 2 locations. One, Hotel Park City, up in the mountains after a day of skiing. That would be perfect. And of course, also in downtown Salt Lake City at 275 South, West Temple. The steaks are divine. You're going to love the seafood dishes, poultry, whatever it is, cooked to perfection at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Be sure to make your reservations now for Valentine's Day.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Progressive's Accident Response can detect and send help when you need it most after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's Accident Response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I push through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Well, we just heard from our governor and what he said last night at the State of the State address, and I think that there was no surprise to some of the things he said, and perhaps maybe no surprise to the Democratic response. If I were to encapsulate their response, and maybe that's a little bit unfair, I would say maybe just read something that Democratic Chair Brian King said, which was this: tonight, Utahns heard a speech full of familiar talking points about virtue, character, and the promise of Utah, but too few concrete solutions to the challenges families are facing every day. At a time when Utahns are struggling with rising housing costs, overcrowded classrooms, and a healthcare system that leaves too many behind, the values have to show up in policy. We need action, not rhetoric. So he was challenging the governor sort of broad-based, hey, we need to get along, we need to address these issues, but saying, what are we going to do about them?
Yeah, we had also, following the governor's speech, PBS also aired the Democratic response from Senator Luz Escamilla and Representative Angela Romero, and they're the leaders of their caucuses in both the Senate and the House. And this is what Senator Escamilla had to say about families.
We cannot call our economy strong when children are going hungry, when housing is out of reach, or when parents are forced to choose between childcare and a paycheck. That is why Utah Democrats are advancing dozens of bills focused on real solutions for families. Bills that protect access to food and health care, bills that expand affordable childcare and after-school programs so parents can work and kids can thrive. Bills that address housing affordability for working families and real solutions for individuals and families experiencing homelessness. Bills that are strengthening child safety systems to protect our children.
Again, part of the notion that they're drilling down a little bit more than the governor did, which I guess makes sense. They're the legislators, and he's speaking as the governor, not necessarily as a legislator. But if you're going to give a Democratic response, you've got to come out of the chute with something.
Sure, and we'll see that happen with the State of the Union coming up in February. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think you have to set maybe some lines of delineation. And that's one of the things. They talked about points of agreement, but they also talked about how their approaches are different. So Senator Escamilla also spoke to Utah being a family state.
Utah prides itself on being a family state. That has to be more than words. It means showing up for families in real ways and building a future where they don't just get by, but actually truly succeed.
I mean, she's talking about access to food and health care, housing affordability, and again, the Democrats saying we actually have some solutions. The Republicans obviously do too, but the Democrats are really drilling down on a couple things, really families, health care, finances, that type of thing, which I think is, I don't know that they had much choice but to come out of the chute with some things like that where they're saying, hey, we've got some solutions. We've actually got some programs in mind that can help.
I think one of the things, too, that is interesting is you talk about the points of commonality. We want to see affordable housing. Well, what does that look like?
Right.
On one side, sometimes at least what we hear being talked about is we need to build more affordable houses. But what I also hear sometimes is people saying, look, when you have a starter home, it's not a new home. Usually it's an older home because they're cheaper. And so what we need, we don't necessarily need, and I'm not saying this is part of the Democratic response, but it's part of the argument of policy. What we need is the ability to help people who are in those starter homes buy their next home. And then that frees it up for people to be able to buy their starter home, their first home, and they don't have to spend $600,000.
Right. Because that's the average cost of a house in Utah, right?
Yeah, and even starter homes, I mean, even the program that the governor was talking about, he was saying anything under $350,000. Well, remember, I mean, even people who have dual incomes trying to purchase something, that's still a pretty heavy lift. But if you buy an older home, maybe even it's 70 years old. But it's the place where you can start and you can start to build equity.
It's funny, people in our generation have never spent $350,000 for a home because they weren't. That's not what they cost when we were purchasing our homes 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, and when we bought our first home, just as an example, I'm thinking it was at least 20 years old when we bought our house, and now the house that we're living in is like 50 years old.
Right.
So, it just different things, different ways to approach the same end result that people are hoping to see, but a different way to approach it. So we also had, and I think Representative Romero is well known for her position on domestic violence and sexual assault, but she talked about safety priorities for the community.
Last year, our state made national headlines for 2 tragic shootings that shook communities across Utah. Moments like those remind us that people deserve to feel safe when they're gathering with their neighbors, attending schools or churches, or exercising their First Amendment right through peaceful assembly and free speech. Community safety means taking threats seriously and being willing to have honest conversations about sensible gun safety laws. These vital laws protect lives while allowing for and respecting responsible gun ownership. Our goal is simple: to prevent violence before it happens and to make sure families can go about their daily lives without fear. Safety also means listening to those who are too often overlooked. We will continue to center the voices of victims and survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault.
So it's probably no surprise she's talking about 2 tragic shootings. She's also talking about firearms in both of these events. As I guess you don't have to read between the lines too much. She would be talking about the shooting in Box Elder County of the 2 law enforcement officers, the Tremont and Garland police officers, by an individual who is accused of also having a history of domestic violence. So she weaves that in as well, and the fact that a firearm was used. And then, of course, the shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Of course, there's a person charged with that crime as well, and it's alleged that a firearm was used. Well, obviously a firearm was used.
And
I
think she probably was referencing the No Kings shooting as well, and we know already that there's a bill related to that. I think what we'll see, I predict what we'll see is there will be a number of gun safety bills brought forward by Democrats in the Utah legislature. I'm not sure any of them will pass.
Yeah, I mean, we're part of the Wild West, and anytime you try to reel in guns, and the response usually is, well, maybe taking away guns is the worst thing you want to do when people are having guns at an event or at a school shooting or something like that. And we can argue this all day, but sometimes the response is, well, maybe people need to have more guns so they can protect themselves.
Well, I mentioned that they do have a lot of points that they agree on, and with the Democratic Party statement that they released after the State of the State, this is one of the lines there. Utah Democrats agree with the governor's concerns about social media, mental health, and protecting democracy, but warn against Republicans' attacks on the judiciary, voter protections, and citizens' initiatives. And Senator Luz Escamilla also highlighted that.
Good governance is about trust. It's about people knowing their voices matter and their government works for them. We continue to see attacks on the judiciary, efforts to confuse voters, and attempts to weaken the citizen initiative process. These actions don't strengthen our democracy, they undermine it. Utah Democrats believe voters deserve clear rules, fair representation, and a government that respects the will of the people. We will defend citizen initiatives, stand up for independent judiciary, and oppose efforts to politicize or pack our courts.
Doesn't surprise me that the Democrats would drill down on those 2 specific issues: attacks on the judiciary and attacks on limiting the ability for citizen initiatives, because those are things that have really become a burr in the saddle of the Republicans, and something that they are no doubt going to try to change.
We've talked about expanding the courts too, and yesterday that bill passed its first hurdle, so it's being sponsored by Senator Chris Wilson, and it adds 2 to the Supreme Court, 2 to the appellate court, and then with an amendment in committee, they added 3 to the district courts. So that
Which is
bill,
something I've been talking about, and it's something our Chief Justice talked about. He said, we don't need more appellate judges. We need judges who are on the cutting edge. Who
percentage-wise,
right.
it's not the same level, but
Right.
at least they're proposing
Right.
3 more.
So 2, 2, and 3. Yeah, I mean, that's, 7 judges, which is certainly welcome. Again, I think the Chief Justice and those of us that practice in the district courts would say maybe we should put
Maybe
few
we
more,
need like
few
10
more
more.
trial court judges, and maybe we don't need more appellate court judges. But again, that's what and I don't think it's fair to say this is judicial stacking by any means.
Because we've pointed out Republican governor, Republican Senate, all the people on the at least you've said on the bench have been appointed
by
since
a Republican
by a
governor.
Republican.
Right. There haven't been there's no judges left around from the
That's
90s,
right.
I don't assume. Well, when we come back after the break, Representative Doug Fiafia apparently was a former Google employee. I didn't know that. He's also the sponsor of 2 bills that would require AI companies to publish child safety plans and to prevent chatbots from engaging in inappropriate conversations with minors. We're going to talk about those, what he intends to do, and how his bills purport to do that when he joins us after this.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Governor Spencer Cox is asking politicians to act with more virtue, saying the people of Utah are an example. In his State of the State address, Governor Cox says that this country was founded on virtue and pointed to Benjamin Franklin as an example.
I submit to you that no state in this nation and no people in this country better reflect Franklin's virtues than ours.
Governor Cox did not name any specific politicians during his speech. He also said during this year's legislative session he would like to see bills addressing the state's literacy and helping Utahns afford homes. Utah Democrats say what's really important this session are Utahns themselves. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
The party says they're working to tackle problems faced by many. That includes access to food, health care, childcare, housing, and overall keeping children safe. Senate Minority Leader Luz Escamilla says Utah's diversity is part of what makes it strong, and the state has been shaped by people with different backgrounds, beliefs, and ideas.
Utah Democrats believe this must be a state for all Utahns, a place where people can live safely, authentically, and with dignity, where families can make their own choices, express themselves freely, and contribute their talents and perspectives to their communities.
House Minority Leader Angela Romero says representation is about trust, and when people feel seen and respected, our government works better.
We are committed to building a Utah where every person knows they belong and has a voice in shaping our shared future.
Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down 235 right now. That's about 0.5%. We're at 49,148. Coming up, we've got clouds today and a cold front on the way. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Utah is one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family. But for many Utahns, the dream of owning a home is slipping away. Home prices have risen faster than incomes, and families are spending nearly 2/3 of what they earn just to keep a roof overhead. From young graduates to grandparents, everyone is feeling the squeeze. Utah needs more homes, the right kinds of homes, so families can stay close and our communities can thrive. That's why Utah Workforce Housing Advocacy created Demand More Supply. a statewide effort helping Utahns understand the issue and take action in their own communities. Because when we work together, we can make housing affordable again for today's families and for future generations. Let's make the dream of owning a home a reality again. Learn more and add your voice at demandmoresupply.com. Demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You know I love to shop at NPS, but we have made this kind of a family event now. When we have our grandkids, we go to NPS. They love it, and it's so much fun to buy affordable things for them and great treats, some of which they have never seen before. Because, as I mentioned, shopping at NPS is an absolute treasure hunt. You never know what's going to be on the shelves. You never know what kind of bargains you're going to find. Each and every day, they are 20 to 70% off. But then you find savings, believe it or not, above and beyond even that. And with Valentine's Day just around the corner, NPS is the perfect place to shop for your Valentine. Chocolates, candy, flowers, special gifts, jewelry, purses. You'll be amazed at what you're going to find at any of the 4 locations of NPS. 2 in Salt Lake, 1 in Layton, and of course in Orem. NPS.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Jason Jones.
They have cleared that accident that was westbound on the south belt approaching the south interchange. So all lanes of traffic are open there and all delays have been cleared out. And what that means is we're running accident delay free for the rest of the commute. I-15 is good north and southbound along the Wasatch Front from Ogden all the way down to Payson. No problems on the belt route. Headed up into the canyons, you're looking good. Your major feeders over to I-15 are also running free and clear at this point. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be mostly cloudy today with a high of 41. A cold front comes in tonight and cleans out our air, which will be nice. Tomorrow, sunshine but cold. A high of 35 tomorrow, and right now it's 30 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Utah has been at the forefront of AI legislation. In fact, Holly, in 2023, they passed some legislation to form a state AI policy lab that gathered a lot of national attention. This last December, however, the Trump administration has passed an executive order to rein in what states can do as it relates to regulation of artificial intelligence. But that hasn't stopped at least one Utah lawmaker to make a couple of proposals for this state to do some things about what's happening with AI and especially what it's doing to our younger people.
I think we can fairly call Representative Doug Fiafia the expert in AI. And he joins us on the line to talk to us about a couple of bills. So one is fully drafted. The other one's not out yet, but will be soon. Thanks for joining us, Representative Fiafia.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I wonder if you could talk to us about the 2 bills. That one aims at AI chatbots and how they interact with kids. And then I think the other one, what's the other one? Risk assessments.
The other one is on AI transparency. Yeah. So happy to walk through the 2 bills. The first bill is really about one simple thing, which is when AI is designed to act like a friend, a girlfriend, an emotional companion, especially for kids, it needs basic safety rules. And so in this bill, we require companies to stop AI chatbots from encouraging self-harm, violence, or emotional dependency. We also ask them to keep harmful and sexual content away from minors and to stop harvesting and selling sensitive data. And so that's the first bill around AI chatbots. The second is around AI transparency. 2 years ago, all of the major AI companies committed to posting their safety protocols online. As these versions are being released, we know that AI is moving so fast. We want to know how they're keeping us safe. Well, not every company has posted those. What we learned in a tragic case in California, Adam Rain, a 16-year-old, started using ChatGPT as help for homework, then later started having conversations about mental health. ChatGPT then walked him through how to create the noose that he would then use to end his life. And so we're worried about the safety protocols that are being used. Now, this was completely preventable. ChatGPT did not follow their own safety protocols. They actually released a couple weeks early to beat their competitor, Google Gemini. And because of that, that is the version that was used by Adam. And so what we're asking is just transparency. Let light be the disinfectant. Tell us how you're going to keep us safe as we're moving fast, and then let the public and everyone hold you accountable to that.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to go back to the chatbot interactions. So how would a state law impact, these multinational corporations?
Yeah, this is, we can require companies like we require other industries like around pornography or alcohol to protect our kids. This kind of legislation comes from a mix of real world harm and what we're already seeing in the market. Parents, mental health professionals, researchers are raising alarms about these AI companions, encouraging emotional dependency, in some cases reinforcing self-harm and isolation. And so we are creating these rules around what they're allowed to do with kids. We're not completely banning all chatbots, but we're simply saying that if you're building AI that emotionally engages people, especially kids, you don't get to do it recklessly or in the dark.
Representative Fiafia, do you feel like this legislation dovetails with what is happening and being proposed nationally, or do you feel like it could run afoul of the administration's attempts to sort of regulate what states can do as it relates to artificial intelligence?
Yeah, great question. The Trump administration wants to stop broad, overreaching regulations that stop innovation of AI, and I agree with that. The executive order itself recognizes that child safety is a legitimate exception, and this bill lives entirely in that space when it relates to the chatbots. It only applies when AI is an emotional companion, especially to minors. And so I think the administration is in line with child safety, and these bills are really focused around those two. The transparency is one that I know may have some concern that it touches development, but really what we've done in this bill, if you read it, we've pulled all of regulation out of it and basically are just saying, just be transparent. We want you to show the public how you're going to keep us safe. So I think actually both are well in line with what the administration is trying to do.
So, Representative Fiafia, I have read a couple of stories about talking about emotional entanglement, about people who have married their AI companions. And it's not a legal marriage, and I will put this caveat yet, but it's really concerning. And these are adults that they're talking about. And so from a parent perspective, like, I'm deeply concerned that kids would become reliant on artificial intelligence for their relationship needs. I wonder, what is the timeline for that bill to come out? Do you have an estimate for when that'll be public?
Yeah, it should be out next week, and so that should be coming out shortly here. And I think you're absolutely right that I try not to fearmonger, and that's not the case. Is really talking in facts and in data. And what we're seeing with early research is that 72% of U.S. teens have used the AI companion chatbot at least once, and over half of them are regular users. And so this isn't just something that we're saying, hey, some kids may use this at some point. They're already using it, and the scary part is not many parents know their kids are actually using it. I spoke to some interns here on Capitol Hill, and they've shared multiple experiences and stories of them or even their friends or family members who've already been entangled in these companion conversations, being exposed to explicit, inappropriate material, and treating them as a real friend and trusting them even more than their own parents or family. And so this is really concerning, and I think it's important that we regulate and make sure that it's a safe space for our kids.
We're joined this morning by Representative Doug Fiafia, who seems to be on the cutting edge of where we are in terms of AI regulation. Can you tell us, Representative, where, I know the one bill, it doesn't seem to have been even assigned a number yet, but where these bills stand, or when you intend for them to be on the floor?
Yeah, so HB 286, which is a transparency bill, should be in committee next week and shortly after on the floor. We should have our second bill around AI companions numbered next week also, and then we'll be assigned to committee shortly after that. And so please pay close attention, and we hope we have your support.
Well, we will definitely be paying close attention. So thank you so much for stepping out and talking with us today. That was Representative Doug Fiafia.
And it's not the first time he's addressed us and talked to us about this. I mean, he's been on a couple times. He seems to have really a lot to go. And I hadn't realized he was a Google employee at one point.
That explains a lot, right?
He knows from
he does. He knows his stuff. And again, there's this interplay, I think, between an executive order from President Trump, who, by the way, when the Utah pushed back, he was trying to put this in the one big beautiful bill that was passed in the summer. And then he had Utahns and other people as well push back against that. So they took that out of the bill. And then by executive order, he did it in December saying, hey, states don't get to really have a say in this. So part of it is they don't want to come crosswise with that, but they do feel a need, and I can see it and understand it, to really protect the kids in our state.
And Utah does seem to be on the cutting edge of this.
Yeah. And speaking of Utah federal representative, well, Utah Representative Celeste Malloy just stepped into an important leadership role. She's now the leader of the Congressional Western Caucus. It's bipartisan. We're going to talk to her next about this new role and her goals to address energy, federal land management, and water. Stay with us.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online. Find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Ben Care was born with Cruzon syndrome, told he'd face a life of limits.
People do a lot for someone to notice them, just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. That's not your deal.
Impossible adversity didn't break him.
You will never live an ordinary life.
It fueled him.
So make it extraordinary.
Wrestling defined him. Courage shaped him, and refusing to be normal became his superpower.
We could make excuses, or we can just chew the excuses up and swallow them. And then you end up like Ben.
This is the true story of a young man who didn't just rise above the odds, he crushed them.
A local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it in his advantage.
Stand Out, the Ben Care story. In theaters now, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Get tickets at standoutfilm.com. When life says you can't, Ben Care proves you can. Standoutfilm.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55, but unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-price repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free no-pressure estimate or bring in their quote for an honest second opinion totally free. Whipple Service Champions is Utah's first place for second opinion since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
At Trio South Ogden, the best years aren't behind you. They're right here. Discover independent living services that embrace aging as an opportunity to lean in, not step back. To pursue passions, not retire from purpose. Here, life is bright, colorful, and unapologetically fun. Because aging doesn't mean changing who you are. It means having more time to be exactly who you are. Schedule your tour today at trioSouthOgden.com.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We're open up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
The new Inside Sources.
Last week, exactly a week ago, I had a guest host, Rusty Cannon, and Representative Celeste Malloy came in studio to talk to us. And we have her again this week because she was just elected as the leader of the Congressional Western Caucus. It's a really, I think, a big deal. It's another example of Utah punching above its weight. And she's joining us by phone this week. Thanks, Representative Malloy.
Thank you for having me on again.
What can you tell our listeners about the Congressional Western Caucus? What it is, what it does? We're learning today that it's bipartisan, and you were elected unanimously. But tell us about the Congressional Western Caucus.
Well, it's not actually bipartisan at the moment. It has been sometimes. There are no Democrats as of today. But I was elected unanimously. It's something I always thought I would want to try someday. I didn't expect to do it this soon. I kind of inherited it under sad circumstances. My good friend Doug LaMalfa tragically passed away earlier this month, and he was the chair. I was his executive vice chair, and so I stepped in, tried to get things in order the last couple of weeks, and then we had an election yesterday, and my colleagues threw their support behind me to run it in his absence, which I really appreciate. It's not something that anyone would normally try to take on in their first full term in Congress, but I have been around this caucus for a lot of years. I am really excited about it, and we're going to rise to the occasion.
Could you explain to us what you focus on as the Congressional Western Caucus?
Yeah, so Western Caucus started as Western states, but it's expanded to the entire country. But we're really focused on rural issues, natural resources issues, things like water, power, land, and then all of the things that are for Main Street America. You know, small businesses, housing affordability, the kind of things that matter in the West, but also in rural America everywhere.
It's interesting that you mentioned water, Representative Malloy, because that is a huge issue in Utah right now. Can you tell our listeners what the caucus and you think are priorities with respect to water, especially as it relates to the West and here in Utah?
Yeah, what we're focused on is making sure mostly that the federal government doesn't get in the way of good water policy. As you all know, water law is state law. States have jurisdiction over their own water. There are some narrow exceptions, interstate bodies of water, some tribal water agreements. But for the most part, states have jurisdiction over their own water. And when we have dry years or when there are disagreements between states, Congress likes to try to jump in and solve those problems. And we should not, usually. And a lot of what we do with water is trying to make sure we have a good policy framework where the federal government is not stepping on states, we're supporting states.
Sorry. We just talked with State Representative Fia about artificial intelligence. We know that AI use comes with massive data centers. Does the Western Caucus, do you address things like that because it touches both energy and water?
Yes, and land.
True.
So, in Utah, we are chasing data centers because we have the West Desert and it's open. We've got space. We don't have a lot of water, but we have room for transmission lines. There are other states like Virginia that have a lot of data centers. They don't want them. They don't have space. They don't like having them around. And so we do work on issues like that, like what should policy be for data centers? Everyone's using AI searches on their phone. I'm not sure most Americans realize how involved they are in the AI market, but in order for it to work, we have to have data centers. We have to have energy production. So what we do at Western Caucus is try to look ahead, see what those needs are going to be, and make sure that we have policy in place that makes sense. We spend a lot of time on permitting reform, making sure we have policies in place that allow data centers to be built, but also the energy to be produced that's required to run data centers that allow us to use AI, develop AI, stay ahead of China in the AI race. It's everything we touch has layer after layer of impacts.
You mentioned correctly, of course, that water is typically a state legal issue, water law. However, the Colorado River is partly shared by, I think, 7 states now in the West, and
Yes.
it's getting smaller, and the needs are not necessarily getting smaller. What do you think the Congressional Western Caucus can and should do as it relates to the various states involved with the Colorado River, not necessarily disputing, but trying to figure out who is going to get what water from that source in the future?
So this is the exact kind of issue where something like Western Caucus is really valuable, because there's 7 states in the Colorado River Basin. Each state has its own interests. And the governors are all doing their negotiations, but each of those states has members in Western Caucus. That's a place where we have some common ground, some shared interests, where we can build relationships that we need when we start talking about the issues that can be divisive, like Colorado River allocations and what the river management should look like going forward. Now, again, this is still one of those issues where the states are negotiating and Congress shouldn't get in the middle of those negotiations. But when the states reach an agreement, Congress is going to need to ratify that agreement. And it's a lot easier to get those kind of agreements ratified when we already have the relationships across state lines, when we already know that we're working towards shared goals resource-wise. Then we don't break down into colloquial and regional rivalries and hinder progress on things like the Colorado River.
So I have 2 questions, one's short and one's a little longer. But the short one is this just the House, or is this House and Senate?
Senate has a little bit different rules when it comes to caucus, so there is a Senate equivalent, and I think it's also called the Western Caucus, but we operate together, so yes, it is bicameral.
Okay.
And policy-wise, we coordinate with the Senate.
Okay, and then the maybe longer question is, what are your priorities now that you are the chair?
Well, I have been to the chair for about 18 hours.
I know.
But in those same 18 hours, we passed through the House the last of our 12 appropriations bills for this fiscal year. That's the first time since 2018 that we've passed all of those appropriations bills. And the Western Caucus is essential in some of those type of negotiations. The appropriations process affects everything in the country. But one of the big hangups this cycle in getting the last appropriations bill done was E15, ethanol and gasoline. That is very much a Midwestern issue. It's an agriculture issue. And that's, I'm not answering your question directly because that's not my big priority, but this is why having an organization like this that has more than 100 members is so essential in the House. And my priority is making sure that Western Caucus is a policy powerhouse. We're not a club. We're not a place for members to go hang out. We all have plenty of opportunities to do that. Western Caucus is a vehicle for getting members who have similar interests aligned on policy priorities. So in the short time that I've been at the helm, I've already started working with the House Natural Resources Committee, with Nick Begich from Alaska, who's my executive vice chair, with House leadership, and even with some think tanks and some idea leaders off the Hill on how we can harness the membership of more than 100 people to really make sure we stay focused on good policies that are good for Western states, rural America, healthy main streets.
Representative Malloy, last question, and I don't know whether this is something that the Congressional Western Caucus can address, but we talked about the Colorado River. Of course, it affects 7 states. The Great Salt Lake here in Utah, I'm trying to think of all the tributaries that come into it. I don't think any of them start from out of state. Maybe Bear River does. But is there anything that you all can do as it relates to the really dire situation we're in right now as it relates to the Great Salt Lake?
Most of what I can do for the Great Salt Lake is as a representative from Utah, but whatever we're doing for the Great Salt Lake is probably going to require federal programming and or federal dollars. And having these relationships with other members from other states that also have water issues really helps when you're trying to get a program stood up or get funding. For example, in the current appropriations bills, we have funding for the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District, for Salt Lake County Water Treatment Plant, for a sewer line in Santa Clara, a water system in Bountiful. These things all add up. They're helping us maximize the water we have, and when we're using the water we have the best way we can, that helps us save water in the Great Salt Lake. But it's also something that every Western member is concerned about. Everybody's worried about water. How are they going to maximize the water in their state? So when you have these relationships and you're talking about good water policy, then it's easier to convince your colleagues from other states to care about a water issue in your state.
Thank you very much for joining us. That was Utah Representative Celeste Malloy, and quite a coup for Utah, Holly, that she received that great honor. When we come back, we're going to talk with a Utah representative about common law marriage and what we're doing about that here in Utah on the state basis. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: Utah's governor will be headed to Washington, D.C. to take part in a meeting with other Western governors to discuss the future of the Colorado River. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Governor Spencer Cox says he'll be headed to D.C. next week. Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming differ from the views of Nevada, Arizona, and California when it comes to how the water should be distributed from the Colorado River. The northern states say they use less water than the downstream states and don't want to lessen their distribution during dry years, while the lower states say everyone needs to go through cuts in hard times.
If the states fail to reach a deal by Valentine's Day, federal administrators could step in. Utah's water experts gathered this week, and they are sounding the alarm about our snowpack. We get 95% of the water we use from the snowpack, and that snowpack right now is at a record low for this time of year. We have about 2 months left for Mother Nature to help us out and bring a lot of snow to the mountains. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the TikTok deal is done.
It will now be owned by a group of investors, mostly based outside of China, including an investment firm from the UAE, American billionaire Michael Dell's office, and tech giant Oracle, which will be responsible for storing the app's data and protecting that coveted algorithm.
ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 256 right now. That's 0.5%. We're at 49,119. Coming up, we've got a cool down in store. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window Sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to you, Jason.
And Amanda, we've got an accident. It's southbound I-15, about 86th south. Car up against the barrier on the left side. The left lane is blocked. HOV lane is blocked. And it looks like that car has been on or is still on fire. Not exactly sure. There's smoke coming from it, but looks like there's no urgency around it. So it must be in the dousing stages of that car being on fire. However, you're going to find some slow traffic as you try and travel through that area, of course, and that's going to stretch back almost to about 7200 south if you're on the southbound side there. Northbound I-15 is still rolling smoothly through the entire Salt Lake Valley. In fact, in Utah County and Weber and Davis counties, no problems on I-15. Major feeders over to I-15 are also looking good at this point. No problems if you're headed up into any of the canyons either. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a high today of 41 degrees, but a cold front tonight will drop temperatures and clear the air. We'll see highs in the 30s for the rest of the weekend. Right now, it's 32 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
As we were preparing for the legislative session, we had an opportunity last week to speak with Senator Todd Weiler about a bill that he is proposing to do away with, or at least to have Utah no longer recognize common law marriage, and he can explain it better in just a minute. That bill is now going before a committee, I think, today, and there's been maybe a tweak or two with it, but we have Senator Weiler with us again. Todd, thanks for joining us again.
My pleasure, Greg.
I'm wondering, first of all, if you can just explain Utah's version of common law marriage, because it's a little different, I think.
Yeah, so about 44 states have banned common law marriage, and Holly, this is a doctrine that started when people kind of lived out in remote areas, and it may take you a day or two on horseback to get to a justice of the peace to perform a marriage. So they wanted to kind of have a plan B in case people couldn't, take that time away from the farm or whatever to actually have a formal wedding. And so Utah actually abandoned common law marriage in 1925. But then in 1987, and Lyle Hilliard gave me this background, I called him recently, they reinstated it for the sole purpose of they wanted to discourage welfare fraud. They didn't want people living together and both getting welfare benefits. And so they wanted the state to have the option to say, well, it's really, you two are really married. But it was never used for that purpose. And our welfare rules have changed on the federal level, so that's not necessary. And so Utah, you have to sue and actually file a lawsuit within a year of breaking up or of your spouse dying to try to get all the benefits that you would have gotten if you got married, even though you never got, legally married.
Senator, what's the problem with common law marriage? I mean, I certainly have seen. I by the way, I agree with what you're doing just from my own practice. But what is it about common law marriage that we find offensive?
Well, I think there's two problems. Number one, in my mind, either you're married or you're not. This is kind of an in-between. Number two, what we're seeing is sometimes, people live together for a couple of years, and then they get married, and then when they get divorced, if they get divorced, they'll say, well, we've been married for 2 years, but we've been together for 12 years, so I want the alimony for the whole 12 years, and I want the court to deem the first 10 years as a common law marriage. And so it's making divorces harder to settle in some instances because people have this vestige of hope that they can get the judge to kind of grant them 12 years of alimony for a 2-year marriage.
I have looked at the bill, and I see that there's an amendment, and it hasn't been approved yet, but I assume that's part of the presentation today. I'm really curious about the amendment, and I wonder if you could talk to us about that as well.
Well, as I've kind of floated this idea with the bar, I'm a member of a Facebook page that's full of lawyers, and I let people know this is what I was planning to do. And I got some pushback saying, hey, if you're going to change the law, give us more than a couple of weeks or 2 months notice. And so one of the amendments I'm going to do is to push it back, the effective date, probably a year until 2027. So, if we're going to, and the same with alienation of affection, if we're going to pull the carpet out from under people, we want to give them a little bit more notice. So maybe someone can file a lawsuit now and have a year to litigate it, et cetera. So that's kind of the spirit. And I've gotten some other technical changes, but that's the main amendment I'm focused on.
I have a question about the remote marriages and a question.
Oh, that's actually a different bill. And so what we found is there are people in other countries. The Philippines is one example, and let's say some missionaries from a church is saying, hey, if you can get married virtually in Utah, then you can get baptized in our church once you're married. And they do that. They get married in Utah, Tooele County, and then they come to find out afterwards that the government of the Philippines won't recognize the marriage because of the circumstances under which it was performed. And so the goal of that particular bill, and I think both bills, Holly, got numbered as 110 by mistake. But the goal of that particular change will be to try to bring our laws in compliance to make sure that the marriages performed virtually are recognized in the countries where the people live.
Well, I have a follow-up question just really quickly because it looks like on that particular bill, which you're right, it's numbered SB 110 marriage amendments, but it also said that both people have to be residents of the state of Utah, and that makes me think, well, there seems to be a lot of marriages that happen in Utah where only one is a resident.
Well, yeah, but those marriages don't usually happen virtually. And I'm talking to county clerks. We will probably have some more amendments to that bill. But these are some changes that were requested by stakeholders. And so for me, the easiest thing is to put a draft out there and let people come to me with proposed solutions. And so I'll be meeting with the county clerks from Tooele and Utah County, which are the two counties that perform the virtual marriages. I'll be meeting with them today. So we'll try to get those issues ironed out.
Senator Weiler, for years, Utah has recognized as a cause of action what we call alienation of affections, which allows for a jilted spouse to sue a person who caused his or her marriage to break up, and I'm simplifying it a bit. You have proposed some legislation that would make that no longer a recognized cause of action under Utah law. Is that correct?
Yes, and so, Greg, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here. So it's a tort. So it's like, personal injury is a tort. Utah's never recognized alienation of affection as a statutory cause of action. But again, about 44 states have banned alienation of affection. And this stems all the way back to this medieval concept that a woman belongs as property of her husband. And so if somebody uses that property, they owe money to the owner. And so it's a very offensive concept, but that's the origins of it, medieval times. But today in 2026, that's often used as a revenge or vengeful tactic. If there's a divorce, then a spouse will sometimes threaten or actually file a lawsuit against a boyfriend or girlfriend of their spouse. And it's not helpful in settling divorces, and the judges don't like it. Most attorneys don't want to file these types of cases. And outside of North Carolina, which for some reason is an outlier, there's usually very few or if any damages ever awarded.
So what your bill would do, Todd, would make it clear that is not a cause of action, that
Correct.
Any dispute about that. Again.
Correct. And culture and society evolves, and I think that this whole idea, if your marriage partner has stepped out on you, and look, I don't encourage that, but this idea is that that people don't have free will and that they should owe something to a marital partner. And look, I hope everyone's faithful to their spouses. That would be the ideal, but to allow people to litigate that in this day and age, I think is not a good idea.
And is this another bill, Todd, that the implementation would be a year down the road?
I amended that yesterday to make it effective in May 5th of 2027.
So can you just tell us where the status of that bill is?
It passed unanimously through the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, so it's headed to the Senate floor. If it passes there, it will be headed to the House next.
And then your other marriage bill that we were talking about at the top of the segment.
There's two of them. I got to get that fixed in the system. But the one with common law marriage will be in committee this afternoon. Or the one that you were talking about with virtual marriages will be in committee this afternoon.
Okay. All
Todd
right.
Weiler, the marriage
guy.
guru. Thank you. Thanks for joining us again, Todd.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
It's nice to have a lawyer explain a legal change,
Yeah.
and really.
We should have asked him if he's ever performed any marriages.
He probably has.
So, look, the long-awaited deal is done. It was on again, off again, on again, off again. TikTok has finally finalized the deal to keep it up and running in the United States, and we're going to talk about what that means when we come back after this next break.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store and online. And now, the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Limited time. For JD Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Well, the movie show's broadcasting live from My Hearing Centers today. And our friends at My Hearing, they've been such great sponsors of the movie show for so long. And it's because what they want to do is they want to help you. They want to help you or your family member improve your quality of life by getting any hearing issues taken care of. And so what they're offering is a chance to get a free hearing test and a no-cost hearing evaluation for you or a family member. And then after that, they'll give you the chance to test out a pair of cutting-edge hearing aids risk-free for 30 days. But you got to call and make the appointment during the movie show. See, that's the trick. That's the caveat that Matt always puts in, is to get the free stuff, you got to do it during the movie show. And Matt, we, as I was mentioning, we talk about quality of life because I don't think everyone realizes sometimes what hearing loss can be tied to. I mean, other than frustration, but that there's actual issues that can come up later on with untreated hearing loss.
Yeah, it's going to lead to like higher risk of dementia, Alzheimer's, higher risk of depression and anxiety, lower income levels. I mean, just kind of
stuff you maybe wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you can't participate in the business meetings, it's hard to get the promotion kind of thing as well. So most of the people we work with are of retired age. We do have a lot of patients that are still working, and so if you're working or if you just want to enjoy life and you are retired and you want to go out and go on the cruises and go on the vacations and spend time with family and friends, it's a great time to come in and just check your hearing, see if it's where it needs to be. If it is, great. About 5% of the people we talk to, there's not much for us to do at that time. We just help them manage their hearing. But if you do have a hearing loss, if you like the other 95%, we're letting you take the hearing aids home risk-free for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, we'll also give you a gift card to get some movie tickets if you call and schedule during the movie show.
Yep, so that's the deal. 801-701-1629 is the number. 801-701-1629. Movie tickets, free hearing test. It's all worth making that call to My Hearing Centers. 801-701-1629.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Inside Sources.
Well, I think a deal is done, and that is the TikTok deal that we've been talking about since 2024 when legislation was passed, I think while we still had Biden as the president, that required TikTok divest itself of its ownership in China and have a U.S. ownership. There's been a $14 billion deal we're hearing about, establishing a U.S. subsidiary of the platform to avoid the ban. The company said the new owners include a U.S. private equity firm, Silver Lake, Abu Dhabi-based artificial intelligence company MGX, and Oracle, a tech giant co-founded by Larry Ellison, an ally of President Trump. They're each going to hold a 15% stake in the U.S. venture. So this may avoid the TikTok shutdown. And Trump has given the owners of TikTok a couple of extensions to get this done. Otherwise, I think it was shut down for a few minutes one day, but then he put it back on the platform.
It's more than a couple, but what's interesting, I think, especially about this, is the legislation you're talking about actually passed. Well, in 2020, President Trump, in his first term, just as he was being sworn in, I think, he promised to ban TikTok. And then in August of 2020, he issued an executive order banning transactions with TikTok and ByteDance, which is the owner of the parent company, and ordered the ByteDance to divest its interest in TikTok in the U.S. That was in 2020. So here we go, right? But national security and privacy concerns over their Chinese owners led to a law, which you mentioned, passed in 2024, requiring the sale of the company or being banned. And we have more from ABC's Nicole D'Antonio about that.
This deal is not expected to dramatically change the user experience overnight, but because the algorithm will use a different set of data, it could lead to changes in how that content is personalized. Critics worry the app is being handed to Larry Ellison, a Trump donor who already controls Paramount CBS and is trying to buy Warner Brothers. But President Trump is celebrating the deal, thanking China's president for his cooperation.
And journalist Lisa Remillard, known as the news girl on TikTok, apparently she's famous, has been following the developments and lays out some of the facts about the deal.
It's official, TikTok has been sold, and we now know who will be sitting on the board of the new U.S.-owned TikTok entity. First, the new U.S. operation is called TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. Everything I have been reporting about this deal is now officially confirmed. So this new LLC includes operations for not only TikTok US, but also CapCut, Lemonade, and a portfolio of other apps and websites in the U.S. The company statement says under this new ownership, TikTok users will still be provided provided with a global TikTok experience. They say U.S. creators will still be discoverable on a global scale. This includes for e-commerce, advertising, and marketing. The announcement also reveals the 7 majority American board of directors, which includes Shou Chu, who you probably know is TikTok's CEO. The other 6 members are all men, and they are all connected to the investors in this new operation. Those investors include the 3 managing investors, Silver Lake, Oracle, and MGX. Each of those 3 investors hold a 15% stake in TikTok USDS joint venture LLC, and ByteDance is retaining 19.9% of the company.
Get that?
Yes, actually. And so we actually have our own TikTok expert. It's Caitlin Johnson. She's our KSL News Radio producer for this show. Caitlin.
I don't know if I'd be an expert, but I also have been following this debacle for so long because, as you mentioned, there was this quote-unquote blackout.
Right.
That was supposed to, well, it did happen for a total of like 12 hours.
Right.
Very underwhelming. And it was just about a year ago. It was the day before President Trump's inauguration last year. And I decided to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
I've doom scrolled like I've never doom scrolled before. I've talked about this before. But, and so it went black around like 10 o'clock p.m. our time. And then it came back the next morning with a weird message that was like, we
Surprise.
saved TikTok. Thank you. It was weird. It gave me weird vibes. Anyways, so ever since then, there's been kind of this continued anticipation for this deal to happen. And there's been an extension after extension after extension. And basically, they just needed to make a deal with the U.S. to have some ownership on this so that they could keep it from being banned.
Can we talk a little bit about the safety concerns? Because if I remember correctly, like Congress is banned from using it. All state legislators in Utah were banned from using it. Is this going to alleviate some of those concerns about China stealing our data?
That's the hope. And, you know, I'm not behind the scenes of TikTok. I don't know. But that is the concern, that China has too much access to users' data on TikTok. And that's why, you know, America wants more, you know, ownership to make decisions. But there's also concerns that come with that just from TikTok users, just because they don't really know what that means. I just want to highlight a few things that TikTok announced about the deal, about 4 areas of focus that this deal is prioritizing. And I want to mention, I'm just going to breeze through a few of these. I don't think these are new, but what's new and what we have in question is how it changes. And that. So data protection, the joint venture will operate a comprehensive data privacy and cybersecurity program that is audited and certified by third-party cybersecurity experts. I do believe this is already happening, but what changes with that? To answer that kind of goes to what you were just asking. Algorithm security. The joint
that seems to have been a big deal.
Yeah, that's the number one on
right,
here.
Yes, right.
So we'll see. The joint venture will retain, test, and update their content recommendation algorithm on user data. I'm going to circle back to this in just a second. Software assurance. The joint venture will secure U.S. apps through software assurance protocols and review and validate source code on an ongoing basis. And the last one, trust and safety. The joint venture will safeguard the U.S. content ecosystem and have decision-making authority for trust and safety policies and content moderation. So when it comes to the decision-making and the algorithm, that's where people are concerned. And there's 2 sides to this. You know, the big concern, and I'm kind of speculating, but this is what people on TikTok are saying, is this could this be state-run media? You know what I mean? That's a fear. We don't want that. And so will that limit what content is pushed and shown? But also on the other end of it, does that mean that safer content will be put forward? And it will, we talk about child safety on social media a lot. Will this, help restrict some of that as well? But that's generally the overall concern. And I see that other side as well. But we don't know exactly what this means. I actually got new terms and conditions that I had to accept yesterday. I didn't have a choice to accept it, but I just noticed that geo tracking, I can't remember the exact word, that was a part of it. And I think that is basically just tracking if you're in America or not, because I don't know if we're going to get an entirely new app for America or if this one will just change based on where you are.
How do we know that this satisfies the requirement, that they have ownership outside of China? I mean, I assume somebody's already dotted that I and crossed that T, but do we know that this is going to make the administration content that we've now divested enough Chinese ownership in TikTok? That
it's supposed to. And I think President Trump shared some excitement on Truth Social celebrating this last night. I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember exactly what he said. But as far as I know, and the percentages that of who's owning what, I think that this is pretty much where they wanted things to land. It's not 100% ownership, but it's a large majority. So hopefully.
So your point about President Trump and your question, the White House in China, they're the ones who supposedly did this deal, right? So the president was happy about it, as you mentioned. One of the things that's interesting to me is just how wildly popular TikTok is. It's 200 million users in this country.
Well, what makes it so popular is the algorithm on TikTok is like no other, and that was the concern as well. With like, how is it so accurate to what I want to watch? You know, what data are they actually using?
Right.
Because it's so good.
Yeah.
Right? There's sometimes things that I don't want to see, but it just knows you so
Yeah.
well. And there's concern that it's just going to be a different app. And if the algorithm changes, will it be the same, or will it just be like any other algorithm that shows you things you don't want to see?
I remember reading, Caitlin, and I'm completely naive about TikTok, that there are people who actually make a living posting and doing things on TikTok. How does that occur?
Well, it's just all social media, but there's creator programs, and you can get brand deals, sponsorships. You can get paid by TikTok through their creator program, but there are many different ways, and people here in Utah do it. I've even gone live sometimes, and there's different requirements that you can check off, and you can get gifts and whatnot. So that's kind of like getting tips on social media. We've talked about that before, but yeah, it is a career for a lot of people and a lifeline, and it's more than TikTok. But I always say this to creators. Diversify your content in other places. I feel like YouTube is a great place.
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's one of the things. If one goes down and is gone and you're only there, everything you have is gone because you don't own those platforms.
Yeah, but
you don't
TikTok
own those.
has changed the game. And the algorithm is great, but it's also terrible because it gets you to doom scroll for hours. So stay safe out there. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with this. I'm not sure.
You're happy about this, though.
I don't know how I feel.
Well, it's going to stick around. One thing that's not sticking around is Sundance. And we're having the last dance with Sundance right now.
Oh,
It's
that's so cute.
Starting right away, but it's the last dance.
We're going to talk about that.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour: a Salt Lake City man accused of shooting and killing someone he thought was stealing his bike is scheduled to be in court this hour. Police say the shooting happened a few blocks away from East High School. Investigators say Shane Hageman fired several rounds from the balcony of his apartment toward the man riding the bike. Hageman is facing a murder charge. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: Greenland's prime minister says he wants to know more about President Trump's deal with NATO involving the future of his country.
I don't know what there is in the agreement or the deal about my country that over some discussions I didn't attend. I don't know what concrete in it. What I'm saying is that we have a high-level working group that will sort things out.
He says preserving the island's sovereignty is a red line they will not cross. But he also says Greenland is willing to do more to help the U.S. with security. President Trump calls his deal with NATO leaders a framework. Round 2 of the BYU versus Utah rivalry basketball game takes place tomorrow afternoon, this time at the Marriott Center in Provo. The Cougars were able to squeak out a win at the Huntsman Center earlier this month. You'll hear all the action right here on KSL News Radio. The game tips at 3:30, but we start our coverage with Cougar Sports Saturday at noon. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is down 208. That's 0.4%. We're at 49,175. Coming up, a small cold front arrives tonight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The movie show broadcasting live from My Hearing Centers today, where you are going to have a chance to test out the latest in hearing aid technology if you're experiencing any hearing loss. And how you'll find that out is our friends here at My Hearing Centers will give you a no-cost test and evaluation, and then the chance to risk-free try out these hearing aids for 30 days. And these are some tiny hearing aids, man.
Yeah, so I thought I'd bring this in just for fun. I've got my earbuds that I wear.
Okay.
And I've got my hearing aid here.
Okay.
Right? And what's amazing is you look at the size, and you're like, that hearing aid is smaller than the earbud.
That's true, and it's more invisible, too.
And once you get it inside your ear canal, that part tucks around your ear, all you're seeing is this little cable. And
only if you're looking,
than,
to be honest.
Than that, right? Yeah, and so that's one thing where I still recognize as we talk to our patients when they come in. You know, I'm worried that people are going to see the hearing aids and the stigma that goes along with it. You really have got to come and see what's available now, because it's super small, super discreet. We can match the plastic part to your hair color, so it's virtually invisible.
Wow.
And then we also have these chargers that fit in your pocket. We've got 36 hours on the hearing aid, plus another 3 days worth of charging in the charger that goes around with you. So you've got 4 easy days, up to 7 days of wire-free charging available for your.
You could travel for a week without having to worry about a charging cable with you.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do right now, though, is you really got to see it. I know it's hard to describe over the radio, so you got to see and feel. Come in right now. We're doing free hearing evaluations, or give us a call. Don't come in. Schedule your appointment. Yeah. We'll have you then come in.
They'll be very friendly to you if you come in, but then they'll have you make an appointment. So.
That's right. But call, get an evaluation. We're trying to get people in within the next week. So today or all the way through next Friday. At the end of the evaluation, if you do have a hearing loss, you're going to be able to try this discreet hearing aid risk-free for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, we'll give you a gift card to go get some movie tickets.
All right, we'll talk about some of the features that it has coming up. But make that call, 801-701-1629, 801-701-1629 for My Hearing Centers.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, they have doused the flames on this vehicle that's southbound I-15 at about 86th South, and they've reopened most of the lanes. It's off to the left shoulder now, and they have a tow truck on scene. So most of the delays we had there have also cleared out, so you should be pretty good to go if you're running through that stretch. But, of course, just keep an eye out and don't make that situation any worse than it already is. Got some emergency road maintenance happening eastbound on 7200 South, and it's got the 2 left lanes blocked as you head over towards the I-15 area there. So you're going to have to stick over to the right if you want to get through that area this morning. Everything else is looking pretty good, though. We don't really have any other major accidents or delays that we're dealing with at this point. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort, too, with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today we should get up to 41, but the highs will be in the 30s for the rest of the weekend as a cold front moves in tonight. That cold front will bring a few scattered snow flurries, mostly in the mountains, but it will clear the air in the valleys. Right now it is 32 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it is a sunrise and sunset. The Sundance Film Festival has risen again. It started yesterday, and the sunset problem is that it's the last Sundance Film Festival, and this has been a Utah treasure, a Utah tradition. I mean, It brings people to our state and has for decades.
42 years.
It's sad to see it leave.
It is leaving. And, one of the reasons I think you played that song is because of the article that we read in Deseret Magazine, Sundance Rise, Sundance Set. And we have the writer of that article, Natalia Galitza, on the line with us. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I wonder if you could just start to tell our listeners about this article. It's quite long, like many of the magazine articles are. What did Sundance bring to Utah?
Right, yeah. Sundance was one of those events that, like you both mentioned, brought people from all across the world to Utah year after year. And apart from an economic boost of hundreds of millions of dollars and tens of thousands of visitors and thousands of jobs, it also proved that creativity and art can thrive in so-called flyover country, not just the coastal elite cities that you would maybe expect large marquee art-focused events to take place in. So it brought the world to Utah, and it brought Utah to the world.
Natalia, if you could pinpoint a reason or two or three why that huge event is leaving Utah, what would you attribute it to?
Yeah, so primarily size was the biggest issue discussed. Boulder, Colorado, where the festival will be relocating to following this year, is roughly 10 times bigger than Park City with more infrastructure to support that massive influx of people. Park City has been struggling for some time to accommodate so many people coming in for the festival as well as ski season to accommodate because, Park City is the largest ski resort in the entire country. So size was a major issue. And although the festival leaders said that politics did not play a major role in their decision to move to Colorado, lawmakers and locals do suggest a connection, especially because in the criteria that the Institute used to select the festival's new home, ethos and equity values was one of the listed guidelines for how they reached their decision. And previous news or other news organizations have reported previously that Sundance insiders have called legislation that banned pride flags and similar moves a terrible look for the state. So although that hasn't been outwardly confirmed by Sundance leadership, that is another reported reason why it looks like the festival might have needed another place to grow.
Natalia, I know that in the same year that we learned that Utah was not going to continue to keep the Sundance Film Festival, Robert Redford actually passed away. And I wonder if you could speak specifically to his impact on even the Utah film industry in general.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Robert Redford was a giant, both in his own right as an actor, but also creating this festival that went on to be not only just an influential film festival, but the most influential film festival. I mean, as early as 1996, this was already called by film critics in LA and elsewhere the preeminent independent film festival in the entire world. So apart from, winning accolades and Golden Globes and all kinds of, praise for his own acting career and guiding people through the independent film landscape, both as a mentor and as a founder of this festival, Redford certainly had quite a bit of impact in the film industry at large. And even here in Utah, he was a proud Utahn and environmental advocate, and he advocated for keeping our spaces clean, pristine, protected for his entire time living here. So he was, Governor Gary Herbert actually told me in the process of reporting this story that he's often called Utah's favorite adopted son because he really took to the state and the state did in turn.
Natalia, the Utah film industry seems to have been gaining more and more national prominence, and it may be independent of the Sundance Film Festival itself, but do you think that this will have a negative impact on the Utah film industry?
I think that the Utah film industry, although maybe people outside of the state might not have thought so or realized, the Utah film industry has a very long and very successful history way before Sundance even stepped onto the scene. I mean, as early as the 1940s, Kanab had been the most popular filming location outside of California, even earning the nickname Little Hollywood. And that was, decades and decades before Sundance even formed in the first place. And we have a lot of different incentives to bring people to film in the state through the Utah Film Commission, including rural incentive programs to gain economic boost in rural communities by acting as a filming location for different projects. So there are lots of different programs available through the state to kind of continue drawing in filmmakers independent of the festival's departure. So although it will definitely mark a significant change in just the entertainment landscape and tourism for the state, I think film has a long history here, and it is certainly here to stay.
And just one last question. If people are attending this year or they want to, how was the festival like? Are they doing a going away party, or like what are they doing to celebrate this last year in Utah?
Yeah, so there are different activations and different events all throughout Park City. They also had a tribute to Robert Redford at this festival, and kind of just like a tribute to its time here in Utah. For the most part, as far as I am aware, it's pretty much the same standard 10-day timeline, but there are different events either in the actual screenings themselves or throughout the community on Park City's main street to kind of pay homage to its final year in Utah. But I think what will make it more special for visitors and locals who want to go and take part in it is just the energy of everyone coming out and celebrating this long-standing legacy and its end here. It's certainly set to be a way more filled and attended festival than even in years past for that reason.
Thank you, Natalia. That was Natalia
Galitza,
writer for the Deseret Magazine, who joined us today. And the Sundance Film Festival is paying tribute to its founder, Robert Redford. His daughter is remembering a legacy that he left. Here is Amy Redford, who is now an actor and producer herself, about her father.
Gratitude to the state, to the people that were early adapters of his vision. The festival was an avenue to make sure that there was an opportunity for people to get their stories out there and be considered legitimate as much as the people that had been given the golden keys by Hollywood.
So speaking of movies, we're going to go to the movie show when we come back after this break.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
The Movie Show, broadcasting live from My Hearing Centers. We're at one of their many locations in Utah. We're at the one in Sandy at 90th South and 7th East. And I'm joined now by Matt Deering. And we've got the offer today, Matt, for people to try out the latest hearing aid technology, the Signia BCTI-X. And one of the things you do, you call it a risk-free trial for 30 days. And then you get feedback. It's not just so that they can try it, but then you guys ask for feedback. How's this working for you? What's some of the feedback that you've got?
Well, we're getting feedback in 2 different ways, right? We're getting feedback from the individual and their experience with how they're using it. We actually also get feedback from the hearing aid itself. The hearing aid tracks when you're making adjustments, how often you're wearing the hearing aid, what kind of adjustments you're making when you do make the adjustments. Are you using your cell phone to do anything else besides just hearing better? And we're using all that information, and then also from the patient feedback, what is their experience with the hearing aids, to make sure that we're delivering to everybody the best user experience possible. So now that's not what you asked me. What you asked me is what kind of feedback am I getting? Very positive. And that's what's fun with these hearing aids is people are coming in. We had a couple people wear them in the shower because they forgot they're wearing hearing aids. They're so comfortable and discreet, and they were just hearing and they're having a good time. They go, oops, popped in the shower, forgot to take out my hearing aid. And that's the fun. They're not waterproof, but they're highly water resistant. It didn't ruin them. But that's kind of the fun part about this is you're gonna wear a hearing aid that you're gonna forget you're wearing, and that's why I want you to try it for 30 days because that's really you're gonna have it in all those different parts of your life and see how it can improve each of those individual areas.
And that's even for people who may have hearing aids already.
Oh, for sure. If you have hearing aids, come see what's new. That's the funnest part is when you get to sit down with a person that has hearing aids and they can say, "Oh my goodness, this is so much better than what I'm currently getting, and that was so much better than my hearing loss," right? The advancements in technology are still happening with a dual processor hearing aid technology, the extra runtime with the battery life, being able to connect to your cell phone, Bluetooth. It's all really life enhancing, And so we're inviting people to come in, try the hearing aids risk-free for 30 days, and at the end of the 30 days, again, we'll get that feedback from you, but we'll also give you a gift card to get some movie tickets as a thank you.
But you got to call during the movie show between now and 1 o'clock. You've got to call 801-701-1629 to make that appointment. That's 801-701-1629.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, between earthquakes, ice, and the first week of the legislative session, we had quite an interesting week, didn't we?
We had quite a week.
So as we wrap up, tell us what about this day in history, January 23rd.
Okay, so speaking of earthquakes, the deadliest earthquake in history hit China. It killed an estimated 830,000 people in 1556. It wasn't the strongest to ever hit, but the most deadly. And that's almost 1 million people, like hundreds of years ago.
Imagine.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? Okay. So it's also National Pie Day, by the way. So if you like pie, even if it's a pizza pie, I don't know, it's National Pie Day.
I always thought Pie Day was
March 14th.
Yes,
It
yes.
is.
Okay.
That's another Pie Day. So I don't know why we have multiple
them
Pie Days. I
both,
guess you
right.
could never have too many. On this day in 1855, this is John Browning. So he, the gun designer.
Browning
he was
Arms.
born in Ogden, Utah. So right here in Ogden. I have another weather thing. So one of the things that is not hitting us this weekend is the massive winter storm that's going to impact something like 2/3 of the United States, but not us.
And it's bitter cold. I mean,
So
some people are
cold.
bracing for some huge problems, including pets, livestock.
Oh, yeah.
And
Really
you
worried
said
about animals. Trees could
exploding,
explode because
right.
it's 2 fun facts about temperature. So in 1916 on this day, the temperature fell 100 degrees between the night of January 23rd and January 24th in Browning, Montana. They went from 44 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 56. Not even joking. 100 degrees in 24 hours. Oh,
Boy, you don't
that's
wanna
so
be caught out in
nasty.
that.
And then 10 years ago, yesterday, but there was a really big winter storm in the northeast, but there was a Category 5 blizzard. So yesterday we talked about the 500 people trapped on the New Jersey Turnpike, but this blizzard delivered more than 3 feet of snow to the mid-Atlantic and northeast. It killed 55 people, and the damage was $3 billion. And then one last one, finally. Sorry, movie show guys. This one I keep in because I think it is so funny. In 2018, 12 camels were disqualified from the King Abdulaziz Camel Beauty Contest in Saudi Arabia because their owners used Botox on their lips.
Camel lips.
It sounds like sci-fi.
How'd they get caught?
Camels. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
so sci-fi, right, Andy and Rachel? From the
Good
movie.
segue there, because our big movie this week is a sci-fi movie, and it's a future that Greg would hate, or maybe he would like. I haven't decided if he would love or hate this, because in this movie called Mercy, Chris Pratt plays a cop who's finds himself on trial, but in this future, crime has gotten so bad that they've created what they call the Mercy Court, where a defendant comes in, there's no attorneys, there's no jury, there's an AI judge that has access to, like, everything. All your cell phone data, everybody's cell phone data, everybody's social media, all the cameras and everything. And so you're given a certain amount of time to prove that you are innocent. It is now guilty until proven innocent, and then the clock starts, and if you can't prove your innocence, you're immediately executed.
That sounds terrible.
This is my worst nightmare, Andy. When I think about artificial intelligence, I think the last thing it's ever going to replace is the legal system.
Right?
So no, this is my nightmare.
So this is Greg's dystopian nightmare. So Chris Pratt's a cop, and this is like fast stuff. Like his wife is found dead that morning, and that afternoon he is in the chair on trial.
Ugh, wow.
And
It does sound like dystopia, right?
Yeah, and so Rebecca Ferguson plays the AI judge, and this is where I could get behind AI being a judge, as if it's Rebecca Ferguson. But at any rate, he knows turns out he's one of the people who helped create the system, so he understands the implications of being on trial, and you don't get to get out of your chair. They can VR everything around him, so like at one point he's sitting in the chair while in the middle of traffic while buses are going by, but it's all VR. So it goes from that really cool premise, but by the end, it kind of devolves into just like a regular action movie.
And a very strange message at the end that even AI can make mistakes, and that's okay. I'm like, oh.
Well, I think that would be the message going into it. That's my presumption.
Love that message.
Rachel, how does a person play an AI character?
Just, they don't get much to do. I mean, it's basically like your Judge Dredd, but not the Carl Urban one, the Sylvester Stallone one.
Oh, okay.
Greg doesn't know what that means. I'm just going to save you the trouble there, Rachel. No, but basically she's just, it's as if you're on video trial and the judge is a video screen.
Okay.
And so for when you say she doesn't have much to do, Rebecca Ferguson does nothing except sit.
Yeah.
And they just show her at varying degrees of how close the camera is to her because, although I will say this, of course I love her, so it's automatically she's going to get, a pass on everything. She does have to, like, it's not as easy to play a machine as people might think it is, and she gradually warms up a little bit as she learns because AI is learning, but it's just because I like her that I'm giving it a pass. But go in with low expectations, and they'll be met.
So let's talk about let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. A detective is on trial for murdering his wife, and he has 90 minutes to prove his innocence.
Yeah, and he starts out, he can't remember what happened because it was like just a little bit ago, and he was also like blackout drunk.
Oh.
And so they're showing like videos, and they're showing security cam footage, and the judge has all this stuff all pulled up because AI can process it so fast.
Yeah, it's kind of like this, they call it the screen life, where you see from the different screens perspectives, you see what's on the phones, what's on all the different kind of things. Like there's some parts that were a little shaky as far as, that.
And of course, despite this future world, we need this critical footage, but it's uploading and it's taking a long time.
Doesn't this flip the whole presumption of innocence on its head?
That's what they started out. That you're guilty until proven innocent.
Violent crime, homelessness, and drugs have gotten so bad in LA that they feel like this is necessary.
Okay.
Wasn't there a movie, and maybe it was with Harrison Ford, you guys would know, but where AI is predicting when bad stuff is going to happen, and they're picking people up before it happens?
That's Minority Report, and those were psychics.
Okay, well,
they were like
it could
humans.
Be AI.
But no. There are some vibes of Minority Report in here for sure. For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't believe Andy picked up on that and immediately answered the question. You scare me, Andy.
Oh, no.
It really does. It reminded me a lot of Judge Dredd.
I haven't seen Judge Dredd.
Okay.
So.
All right. So the movie question that we're answering this week, we hope it's the right one, is a sci-fi movie that I don't know if enough people loved, but they should. So because I don't watch a ton of movies, I'm not sure if a lot of people watch this, but this was mine.
What happens now? They arrive.
It's The Arrival. It was in 2016.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a
And
good
one of the
movie.
things that I liked about that is it was a linguist, right? And it wasn't the big scary aliens. They were trying to communicate. And anyway, I liked that one. And I don't know if a lot of people watched it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's a good one. And good sci-fi, in my opinion, asks interesting questions. And that movie is a good example of that because it says, if you knew sad things were going to happen, would you still do it anyway?
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
All right, Greg, I know you don't watch a lot of movies either. So.
No, but I want to tell you something before I go to this. Thanks to you two, the two of you, seriously, I have watched in the last couple weeks One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme.
All right.
And as I watched both of them, I could hear Rachel's voice, and I remember that I'll never forget Three Small Beers. And and I thought, this is the movie she was talking about. This is the movie. And I would, so you guys have got me watching movies now, and I'm very happy about that. But
well, we're happy to know we can have a positive
makes
effect.
me happy.
And I would also say this: those were great movies.
You did like Marty Supreme?
Oh yeah, I loved both of them. They were incredible. In fact, I got to watch One Battle After Another again because it was pretty dark humor.
Well, you're already 1/5 of the way for all the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, I'm as far as I can go. Okay, my
That's
favorite,
good.
my sci-fi movie that not enough people love, and I think they do, but I this is my favorite sci-fi movie, and I don't know if you're going to get it from this soundbite.
Commander Lewis, couldn't you have packed anything from this century?
The
No,
Martian.
I'm not gonna turn the
I
beat
cannot
around. I
watch that
refuse to.
movie enough. It was just, I love that movie.
That's a
I
fun
could
one.
watch it over and over.
I
and over.
really loved that one
I
too,
thought you were going to
actually.
do Starship Troopers there for a sec.
Yeah, no. That's just one that I liked, and I will thoroughly enjoy it.
That is a good one. I'll agree with you on that.
Where are you guys?
We are at My Hearing Centers today.
Okay, good. Well, we will pass the mic to the KSL Movie Show and to our two hosts and in a few minutes here, or just in a minute, and we'll have you go to the movie of the week, which is a weird sci-fi movie that I promise I will not watch. Because
I probably will,
an
'cause I'll probably
AI
enjoy it.
judge decides whether somebody's innocent or not. That's my
In
worst
90
nightmare.
minutes.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Kratom is one of the legislature's targets this year in two separate